Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field educate, inform and inspire the community to live a more balanced and healthier lifestyle they love. Our first guest today is Naturopath, respiratory specialist and published author Julie Rudakova, and she will be talking about effective solutions for sleep apnea. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you.
What is obstructive sleep apnea?
So obstructive sleep apnea is exactly what's in the name. There is an obstruction in the airways and the person stops breathing for some time during sleep. Those episodes can be quite long or can be short and frequent, and normally a good sleep study will tell you which stage of obstructive sleep apnea the person is at. And as always, as a breathing specialist, I go back to the fundamentals and look at why that dysfunctional pattern occurred. So with obstructive sleep apnea, as I mentioned before, there is an obstruction. So what the obstruction is, normally it's the tissues that are super relaxed during sleep. Oftentimes it happens when the person is sleeping on their back, and that soft tissue falls and blocks the airways partially, and it's harder to breathe. However, the body is very smart, and the body will always push you to breathe, and that's when the person wakes up. So it's that constant waking up throughout the night that leads to fatigue in the morning, poor memory, poor concentration during the day as a result. And we look at the whys of the obstruction. So oftentimes it is a bit of an extra weight that a person might carry. So just when there is a little bit of an extra weight, it's just the weight is more to press and the condition develops faster. There is also a chemical aspect of sleep apnea. Again, that dysfunctional breathing pattern, that vicious cycle of over-breathing, maybe even throughout the day, mouth breathing throughout the day, mouth breathing at night, that developed as a response. And it's not a pathology. I always say it's not a pathology, it's a response of the body to something. And we need to figure out what that something is. And that's a bit of a detective work that we do. But what I always point at is with obstructive sleep apnea, we deal with oftentimes CPAP machine. And what I say with a CPAP machine, it's a great intermediate step because there is no oxygen that the body receives, that the brain receives, and there is fatigue as a result in the morning. However, the CPAP machine pushes the oxygen, but we have two gases that participate in the breathing process. It's oxygen and carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide is lost. And what the carbon dioxide does for us that we forget is that it delivers oxygen into the cells. We still need to maintain that oxygen delivery. It's the Boy effect. It's in every medical textbook. And what it says is that to detach the oxygen, so the oxygen travels in the red blood cells on the hemoglobin molecule, right? It travels in the blood and we need it in a cell, in a tissue, to have energy there, to get energy there. And carbon dioxide is the guy who takes it off the hemoglobin and delivers it. It's like in a taxi, and the carbon dioxide opens the door, please get out. Here is your destination. So we need it. And when we lose it a lot through mouth breathing, especially at night, we spend on average 8 hours. 8 hours a day we spend sleeping. And it's a lot of carbon dioxide lost through that. So we need to look at breathing retraining.
So what are effective solutions for sleep apnea?
So for sleep apnea, I do recommend to break that vicious cycle of overbreathing again during the night, during the day, and start looking at how we can reverse and how we can re-establish nasal breathing. Nasal breathing is the key here in obstructive sleep apnea, just because of that mechanism of oxygen delivery. And as a result, better oxygenation of the tissues and cells, and better focus during the day. Oxygen is energy. Oxygen is our energy currency. So we have energy from food, but we also get energy from breathing. So we can waste our energy through breath, or we can get more oxygen and get more energy.
What is your advice for people with obstructive sleep apnea?
Well, firstly, do not wait to get diagnosed. If you're tired in the morning, let's look at how you breathe during the day. And if there is any feedback, if you have a partner in the room, about your snoring, so that would be number one. But, for the viewers today, I would just say, let's do this little test and see how gently and slowly you can breathe. So set up a timer for 5 minutes and see if you can maintain regular, slow meaning it's an average 6 breaths per minute, right? It's a very functional breathing rate. It means you breathe into the count of 4, you breathe out to the count of 6, and you do it gently. And for sleep apnea, for obstructive sleep apnea, the gentleness in the breathing process is the most important aspect. And I'll explain why this is so. So imagine that the airway is like a paper straw. So when you order a milkshake at a cafe and you have a sip, nice big sip through a thick paper straw, and if you take it really, really hard, then the paper straw collapses. The sides of the paper straw will come together just because of that force. And if you sip gently, it's going to be intact. So that's kind of an analogy of our airways, right? So gentle breathing is the key here for sleep apnea sufferers. So you can start doing that at home, see where it leads you, and always seek an individualized plan from a professional naturopath.
Thank you so much, Julia. If you'd like to learn more about effective solutions for sleep apnea and Julia, you can visit her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Stick around because after the break, we'll be back with another guest and another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, psychotherapist specialising in hypnotherapy, Julie Makin, will be talking about what is body intelligence and is it the path to inner safety. Welcome back. Our second guest is Julie Makin, a psychotherapist specialising in hypnotherapy, and we will be finding out if body intelligence is the pathway to inner safety. Welcome, Julie. It's so good to have you back.
Hey, Stephanie. Thank you.
So tell us, what is body intelligence?
Okay, so body intelligence is how our body responds to the environment, and it comes in from the 5 senses. So what we see, hear, feel, what we taste, what we smell. And our body's actually sending signals at like 300 k's per hour approximately, going up through the body, sending off chemicals. And our bodies have just got this innate knowing about what is right for us. And it does everything it can to protect us. For instance, you fall over, you put your arm out. You don't stop and think about it. The arm just automatically goes out because your body is protecting you.
And how can knowledge of body intelligence lead to inner safety?
Okay, so that knowledge of body intelligence leads to inner safety with us having an awareness. It starts with having an awareness of what's going on inside our body. And when we have that awareness, which comes in from our environment, so we're noticing what's going on in our environment. Our body is taking it in through what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we taste, and what we smell. And those signals are, being transferred within our body at approximately 300 k's an hour going up to the brain. It's telling us, and it's letting off chemicals and all these kinds of signals. And your body is doing everything it can to provide you with signals as to whether or not you feel safe or whether or not you feel unsafe. And when we're feeling unsafe, you may notice things like the heart starting to race. You may notice, your legs might start to feel unsteady in certain situations. things, or you might start to sweat a little bit. Maybe it's that interview or something. You may even notice at times that your voice might start to have a bit of a tremor on it. So these are signals that your body is sending you that you don't feel safe. Perhaps when you're feeling a sense of anxiety. Let's just say that you walk into a room full of people that you don't know, and then all of a sudden you might feel your heart start to pound, or your legs might start to feel unsteady. You might even sweat a little bit. And in some cases, your voice might start to tremor a little bit, just stating that you don't feel safe. This is your body telling you that you don't feel safe. But it's good just to notice those things, and they're just basic signals as to, your body saying you are not safe, because when you feel safe, you feel a connection with people. Having a choice, once you have an awareness of that body intelligence and the acceptance that, okay, so my body's doing this, but you know what? I'm going to choose. I now have an awareness, and I am going to choose. You are now putting yourself back in control, and therefore you're able to plow forward a little bit better, because when we choose and when we have control, our body responds differently.
And how can we strengthen that awareness and increase our sense of choice in that moment?
Okay, so in that moment, you might like to try things like pushing your tongue to the top of your mouth, and it just helps to send signals to your body that, you are safe. You might try breathing techniques. You might, try eye contact with somebody that is safe, smiling with somebody, starting to get a connection with someone. Because when we have connection with somebody, that puts us back into that place of safety. So that's what we're after. We want to feel safe.
Do you have any advice for our viewers on how they can proceed with this information and what they can do next?
Sure, okay. So if you feel that your body is perhaps responding just a little bit too much in the not safe area, I invite your viewers to start to seek professional therapy. It doesn't just have to be conscious mind therapy, but if you were to look for associations, find something that is right for you, because not all therapies are right for everybody. I promise that whatever it is that I do might not be right and suitable for some people, but just know that I personally feel that working with the body is where it's at, and I feel that that is backed up by, many different people. They might like to look at the Australian Hypnotherapy Association, or, but somatic experiencing is another one. But there's so many things that are out there, all different modalities, EFT, kinesiology, all of that kind of thing, that people can use. This is starting to connect with your body. And if people really want to go that little bit extra step and start actually grounding themselves in their body, I invite them to start practicing perhaps yoga or Tai Chi, definitely to help you start breathing properly, getting yourself back into your body, because you know what? Sometimes our body can be a really uncomfortable place to be.
Wonderful. That's great information. Thank you, Julie. If you would like to know more about body intelligence and inner safety and Julie Makin, please visit her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll be back with another interesting guest and another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, holistic counsellor Barbara Jackson will answer the question, do we share energy with our animals? Welcome back. Our last guest today is holistic counsellor Barbara Jackson, and she'll be asking the question, do we share energy with our animals? Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you very much, Melissa. It's a pleasure to be here.
With animals, do we share energy with them, and how?
Yes, we do, Melissa. If you think of when you're out going for a walk and somebody is walking a dog and they react before they even see you. So if you're an animal person, they'll be potentially wagging their tail and trying to pull over to come and see you because they can sense that you have that affinity with animals. Whereas if somebody doesn't like animals, not all of us do, they may walk away or they might bark at the person because they're sensing that there isn't quite that alignment with them. And one of the important things to understand as well with the animals, if we think of how they're trained in the police, when they do the drug searches or when they trained to help people in epilepsy or people who have seizures, people who have anxiety often will have what they call a therapy animal. One of the most amazing that I find is what we call seeing eye dogs. So people who have vision impairments or are completely blind, they will have a dog, and that dog can read the person so well because they're reliant on them to be their eyes. So if ever you're out and about and you see somebody with a guard dog or seeing eye dog, it's so important not to go up and pet it because they're working. It would be like me walking up to you when you're working and wanting to distract you. So it's really about understanding and respecting the animals. So when we walk up to an animal, it's also important to understand how we interact because again, the animal will sense us before we may even be close to them. They're aware, they pick up on our energy, on our vibrations, on even the hormones. And so if we walk up to an animal, especially a dog, first of all, it would be like me saying, can I give you a hug? So we would say, if the animal is with someone, may I say hello? Then the other thing that people don't know, if I walk up like this to you, that could feel threatening because that could be, I might want to smack you. If we walk up with the hand like this and we stop close to the animal, let them come to us. We're not threatening them. So respecting their space as well. If we walk up to them, very calmly stroke them and say hello, they will settle. They will pick up on that energy like, oh, this is a nice calm person. I can just sit down and let them give me some love. The same as when we go up to a cat. If we walk up to a cat, we want to respect that space. We want to ask for consent and they will reciprocate. We don't know what an animal has experienced in their lives. They may have experienced trauma or abuse, so they may automatically pull away from new people. When we also look at therapy animals, we often hear about where in equine, where with horse therapy particularly, people who've experienced trauma, people who have different abilities will often go to equine therapy because a horse will come to you. If people stand with their back to a horse, they'll often just walk up and gently stand behind them and wait for the person to respond. If you look at some hospitals in some countries, they will bring in animals to help people. And especially for children as well, if children grow up with animals, they understand a lot more about their behavior. They have to be taught. They have to understand that there's a way, and adults alike, have to be taught how to treat an animal, how to honor an animal, and its space as well. So when we can connect with an animal energy therapist, they can help us to learn to soothe our animals, to let them know that it's okay to let go of all that energy of ours that they are carrying. And another thing as well is when we understand what we are experiencing and that our animals are picking up that stress, that anxiety, that feeling of low, being flat, feeling depressed, we can then support each other. So it's actually a really beneficial exchange of energy that can happen as well.
Do you think animals share the same energy as humans?
I would say they share similar energy, and of course we look at primates. because our DNA is so similar. There's often videos where somebody will take a baby to the zoo and sit next to the glass, and the female may come up or the male may come up, and they'll want to try and touch them, or go to the aquarium, and the dolphins will mimic people's behaviors. So animals are so much more in tune with us than we realize.
Do you have a personal experience where you shared energy with an animal?
Melissa, I do. I went with a beautiful group of women in 2019 up to Hervey Bay, and we wanted to connect with the humpback whales. And we went out on a catamaran. And the legal requirements are that you stay 100 meters away from them. And these 3 humpback whales came around the boat, and there was our group and the public as well. And they were actually going around and looking at everybody on the catamaran. That was the highlight. They then went away, and our captain said, if anybody wants to get into the water, do it now. And we're in the ocean, so we had to hold on to what they called a mermaid line. And we had to get in very quietly, because they are so sensitive to the sonic frequencies in the water. Slipping in, there were 2 of us holding on. They came back, and they were coming up behind us and going under us. And this beautiful female, she would have been about 11 meters, they said, and about 30 ton. She came under me, and she then bared her belly. Any creature will only bare its belly when it feels safe. She then reached her 3-meter pectoral fin up and touched my hand, which was such an incredible gift, because it wasn't only my experience. Everybody on that boat, on that catamaran, felt the absolute wonder of the trust of this animal.
Do you have any advice of how people can connect and share energy with animals?
Absolutely, Melissa. So there's certain ways, if we're going to buy our children a pet for Christmas, we need to remind them and teach them the responsibility and accountability for the care. And also remembering that after Christmas as well, they need the same continued care. It's like our children. They're forever around until the time until their journey is finished. And also the other thing as well is go and visit the rescue shelters. Go and spend some time with the dogs and with the cats, because they do say the animals choose us. And remembering that it's always about consent. We share the space with them, and having that mutual respect and consent is important.
Well, thank you so much for all that advice, and thanks for being on the program.
Thank you very much, Melissa.
If you'd like to know more about sharing energy with animals and Barbara, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. That's all we've got time for today. Goodbye.
If you'd like to know more about our show, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.